Imagine living in a house where every night you hear footsteps in the attic, but no one is there. Imagine finding footprints in the snow leading into your farm, but none going back. And then one night, you and your entire family vanish, brutally murdered by someone who might still be living under your roof. This is not a horror story. This is the real, chilling mystery of the Hinterkaifeck murders, one of the most terrifying and baffling crimes in German history. In the spring of 1922, deep in the Bavarian countryside stood a lonely farmhouse known as Hinterkaifeck. It was home to Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia, their widowed daughter Victoria, Victoria's two young children, little Cecilia, just 7, and baby Joseph, only 2, and a maid named Maria, who had started working there on the very day of the tragedy. On the evening of 31st March 1922, the peaceful farm turned into a house of horrors. By the time neighbors grew concerned and entered the property days later, they discovered a scene that would haunt German police for more than a century. In the barn lying under hay were the bodies of Andreas, his wife Victoria, and young Cecilia. Inside the house, the maid Maria was found dead in her bed. Baby Joseph lay lifeless in his cot. All had been struck down with a mattock, a heavy farm tool, their skulls smashed with brutal precision. But what terrified investigators the most wasn't just the violence. It was what happened after the murders. Police quickly realized that someone, most likely the killer, had stayed in the farmhouse for days after the massacre. The animals had been fed. Fresh meals had been cooked. A fire had been lit. The killer had lived among the corpses, as if nothing had happened. But who could commit such a crime, and why? When investigators dug deeper, the story became even darker. Weeks before the murders, the family had reported strange events. Andreas found mysterious footprints in the snow, leading from the forest straight to a broken door on the property, but none going back. A newspaper from Munich appeared in the house, one that no one had bought, and house keys had gone missing. The previous maid had even quit the job, convinced the house was haunted. Was the killer already living in the attic, watching them, waiting for the right moment? The police questioned more than 100 suspects, but no one was ever charged. One of the main suspects was Lorenz Schlittenbauer, a neighbor, and possibly the biological father of baby Joseph. He was among the first to discover the bodies, but his calm behavior at the scene raised suspicions. Some villagers believed he had committed the crime out of jealousy or revenge, but without evidence, the case fell apart. Other theories emerged: that Victoria's missing husband had returned from the war, that a disgruntled farmhand had sought vengeance, even that it was the work of a wandering serial killer. But every lead ended the same way: dead. And the deeper investigators looked, the more bizarre the case became. The older child, young Cecilia, had clumps of hair torn from her head, suggesting she was alive for hours after the attack. The weapon was found hidden in the barn's loft, and the house itself, full of eerie signs and unanswered questions, was torn down the following year, as if the land itself wanted to forget. Yet more than a century later, Germany's most haunting murder case remains unsolved. To this day, people visit the memorial cross where Hinterkaifeck once stood, wondering, who stalked this family for weeks before striking? Who fed the animals, cooked meals, and slept in their home as their bodies lay cold? And most chilling of all, why? The police called it a crime committed with hatred. Villagers called it the work of a demon. Historians today still call it Germany's Renatarm, its greatest unsolved mystery. And maybe, somewhere in the shadows of Bavaria, the killer walked away, never to be caught. Would you dare spend a night alone in a place like Hinterkaifeck? Tell us in the comments. And remember, sometimes the scariest stories are the ones that are true.